So last night we heard Joe Biden talk about the dark winter that he said is coming. And the president said he didn't believe that the winter would be dark. He said that the end is coming to the virus. So joining me now is Alex Berenson, former New York Times reporter and author of Unreported Truths About COVID-19 and Lockdowns. Alex, good to have you back on the program tonight. What is your reporting about looking at the data and where all of this stands, about who is right on that question?
Well, Martha, to be honest, they're probably both a little bit wrong, but President Trump is probably closer to being right. Now, there's a couple important things to remember. The dark winter projections are coming out of a University of Washington model, and the University of Washington model has been wrong essentially since this whole thing started back in March, and it was wrong last month in September. They got a lot of attention. They said there would be 400,000 deaths by the end of the year. There would be 230,000 deaths in the fall, and they've already cut that projection by almost 50% in 6 weeks, and they're going to have to continue to cut it because there's just no evidence that deaths are spiking the way they are. So what have they done? Now, instead of saying end of the year, they're saying February 1st, or in some cases March 1st, and they're pushing the numbers back up. So now they're saying 500,000 deaths by sort of, the spring. The problem is, they just keep sort of, when they're wrong, they don't ever acknowledge they're wrong. They just push the projection forward. And here's what I think people need to realize. The left and the media love to criticize Donald Trump for our response to the coronavirus. And there's certainly things we could have done differently. But when you look at the U.S. versus the UK, France, Italy, Spain, the 4 countries in Europe that really got hit the most in the spring, there is a huge second wave going on there right now. And, through the summer, the U.S. had a wave in the Sun Belt that in retrospect actually wasn't that bad. And people, all these journalists said, oh, look at Europe. They managed it. They dealt with it. They're done. They did so much better than we did. The UK is having 6 deaths today and the US is having 1,000. Well, guess what? Those 4 countries now today are, even though their population is 100 million people smaller than the US, if you combine it, are going to have more deaths today than the US. There's just not that much evidence that advanced societies, advanced liberal economies and societies are able to destroy this virus and make it go away. We all have to manage it. If the last 7 months have taught us anything, it should be that. There's been no health system overrun. 4% of the beds in the U.S. are occupied by people with hospital beds, are occupied by people with coronavirus. We're dealing with this, and our economy has not blown up. It's done much better than Europe's, and that's what people should remember.
Well, it's been a tough year. There's no doubt about it. But we always like to hear from you, Alex. It's a reality check. And you're right. Those IHME numbers have been all over the map since the very, very beginning of this whole thing. But the number has grown. 220-some thousand people we've lost at this point as we continue to fight this virus in America. Alex, thank you. Yeah, quick thought.
Thank you so much, Martha.